No problem.
No, I didn't know you had an iPhone because a friend of mine actually, he said Aaron Williams.
Yes, Aaron. I know Aaron.
My guy, but he was having issues because me and him usually do meetings. Me, him, and another guy usually do talk damn near every single day on this. And one day when he was out and about, he was having trouble getting into it on his iPhone as well.
Okay, great. All right, so are we live right now?
It's working its way there. I'm watching the bar go here. All right, now it's up.
Because I want to be able to post it on my page too, so I can get as much traction as possible.
Yep, we're live.
We are live, and
all right, copy. Hold on, let me just share it on my page real quick to make sure that is in there.
No problem.
What page are you guys live on?
Popcorn and Pints.
I'm sharing it on mine right now.
All right, so copy. I go to your page right now.
I'm about to share it right now, and I'll tag you in it.
Yeah, tag me. Tag me right now, so we can try to get as much traction as we can. Tell me when you tag me.
All right. I just posted it, tagged you both.
Awesome.
All right. Yeah. All right.
I got it posted on my other pages too. So I think that's everything.
Awesome. Oh, I'll share it in the Z Network.
All right. Here we go. I'm sharing it right now. All right. It's on my page right now. All right.
Awesome.
Let's start. All right. We can start now.
Perfect.
Okay, great.
First of all, man, I want to say thank you for coming on to do this with us, having this little interview with us. I think
absolutely.
Awesome.
Nah, I definitely, I appreciate it, and I was looking forward to the conversation and how we can both build to, with one another. And, no, absolutely. I feel, honored to do it.
And I watched your film today. Chris, when did you watch it? Yesterday, right?
Yeah, I watched it yesterday. Sorry, I'm just getting my my phone set up so I can keep track of any comments here.
Right.
And I enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the story of it, and because it's obviously a true type of a realistic story. It's something that happens in our community, in the urban community.
Right.
And that's not even, and by urban community, I don't even mean race-based. That's just the urban community, the poor and disadvantaged community, no matter what color.
Right.
And I like how you told the story in that. And I think it touched me even more so because it was local.
Mm-hmm.
And there were certain parts in the film where I'm not going to say I wasn't paying attention, but I'm just like, okay, so where I know this area. So where is this exactly?
Aaron and I were talking about this before we started. We're like, anytime Schenectady and Albany are popping up more and more in movies and stuff like that, which is cool to see, but it also mildly distracts me for a certain amount of time as I end up focusing on the background at some point, being like, that looks familiar. Where is that? Right.
Absolutely. No, basically I wanted to keep it all 518, primarily even Schenectady. The stories was really based from people from Schenectady, but these stories are relative everywhere else. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about Albany, you're talking about Troy, you're talking about these different places where this stuff is common. But we brought a unique perspective, and I thought I brought a good, diverse balance to the film, from hitting kids that are in the suburban area, to kids that are in the urban area. You know what I'm saying? Like, this happens across the board, and I thought I wanted to kind of show that because I wanted the film to reflect Schenectady. And if you go on Schenectady High School, you'll find out that Schenectady is probably one of the most diverse areas you'll probably ever walk into, believe it or not. Like 10-15% make up Guyanese people. You have a certain amount of African-American people here, Caucasian people here, from Spanish. It's so many different backgrounds and nationalities that's happening in this one small town of only a population of 80,000 people. You know, and so I really wanted to kind of the film to kind of reflect that.
Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I went into Aaron and I have been talking about this for a little while as we were trying to get this set up. So, and I went to watch the movie last night and not having looked up anything prior. And so I started watching it, and as it's going along, I'm like, shit, this is getting just intense. Like every time I had an idea of what was going to happen to like each of the couples,
right?
And then some stuff happened that I didn't expect, and then you know I thought like one couple, I didn't think all of the girls were going to get pregnant. Like I thought maybe one doesn't, and then of course they all do. Then and you just manage to keep escalating it and escalating it. And I'm like, holy shit! Like I was messaging Aaron, I'm like, dude, when you this is getting intense.
Yeah, I think the whole point was this to kind of show like how small situations really turn into big situations. And at some point, big situations was one small situations. You know what I'm saying? It's like as simple as that sound is very complex because you know, life is the way it's like we don't go into it like, hey, we're gonna be a drug addict today.
That's
hey,
true.
we're gonna be you know, a teen mom or a teen dad today, or like whatever the end result is. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't come into life saying that. Life just kind of takes on its own personality and its own kind of thing. And then one day you look up and you say to myself, like, wow, like how did I get here? Like what led me to here? Like a lot of the things that I was doing, I didn't even realize was really detrimental to my end game, you know, and that's what I really wanted the film to kind of reflect. I wanted to, you know, the young people to say, these young people was having fun in the first half of the film. You know, like they were cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, it wasn't like you know, it was the thing. It was like what they wanted to do, you know? And then all of a sudden, like these events just kind of unfolded over a period of time, and it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And I think just coming from a situation where I was if you want to say the product of teen pregnancy. You know, my mom had me at 15 years old. You know, I know exactly, you know, I'm not a teen parent, but I know what it's like to be under a teen parent and what that's like. And it's very difficult. You know, I'm blessed to be able to talk to you like this today. You know, that's why I don't take my gift for granted, or I don't take what I do for granted. Film is personal to me. And when I shoot these films and stuff, excuse me, when I shoot these films, you know, they're very personal to me because I literally take on the emotion of these characters, you know, in order for me to like get these characters there. Like I have to take on their emotions personally.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? For me to like say, okay, that's it. I know how my audience is going to feel when they see this. You know, most of the time, most people are going to look at it like this or whatever the case may be. And I go into it a mindset like, you know, art is open for interpretation. You know, everybody's going to interpret it differently depending on their experience. You know, some people may look at it like, well, that's a little bit too exaggerated. And then some people may say, wow, I didn't know this was going on.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like, it's one or the other. And I'm fine with both, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Because I really feel like, again, art is up for interpretation. I'm not here to dictate how somebody interprets something. My job is as a director to get that message out there and tell that story. And I'm not trying to convince you of one or the other. You know, I'm not trying to, you know, gain sympathy out of you, for this.
Yeah.
I'm just laying the facts out.
I like how in this story, how every single decision that these children made was like they had a consequence, and it was like a real life consequence to where I feel honestly, I feel like this is a very important film to where I feel teens need to watch this movie. And I feel just, and like you said, from the urban side to the suburb side, because there's teen pregnancies across the board and there's crazy shit across the board.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And it's really an amazing thing, which I love what you did with this film, is every single pregnancy and every single story was different. Like, yes, the girls all got pregnant, but every single outcome was completely different than the other. Because
Right.
you're expecting, you know, boom, they get pregnant, blah blah blah, whatever happens, and it was just like, no, like this person had a story, this person had a story, this person had a story. Which was another awesome thing, is every character you showed multiple times, you know what I mean? Like, not like the one-offs or just but the main students that you showed had a very important role in the story, and all the stories connected in one way or another.
Right.
And you really don't even get that until you watch the whole film. Like, when you watch the whole film, it's like, holy shit.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
By the way, just a quick shout out to James, because he had a comment. How's it going, gentlemen? James, who's usually on our Popcorn and Pints episodes. Thanks.
Going great, man. James, this is the film you have to. I'm telling you right now, I think you'd really enjoy this film. It's gonna make you sit back and think, and you're from this area, so you're gonna know certain places when you see it. Try to ignore that. Pay attention to the movie and the story, because it was really a good story. It was
I like how it started right at the beginning with, you know, a scene that's later on in the story, and then you go back and you build to basically how it got there.
Right.
With, you know, intertwining all of the couples type stories. How difficult is it to approach a story where you're trying to encompass the story, you know, like 3 or 4 or 5 different stories, as opposed to focusing on like one particular set of characters?
It can be very difficult, because you have to compact each scene with multiple meanings, right? So like when you see a scene of a character, it has to really mean something. It's not for fluff. You know, you get a lot of films, sometimes they put in stuff for fluff, like to kind of like fill in, or to create extra for the character. But in this case, it's like every scene you see, it literally feeds into the storyline later. Everything.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, it was, you know, I interviewed 19 teenage moms and dads, sat down, turned the camera on, and really just took the in-depth story. Like, tell me what happened from beginning to end. Did you use a condom? Why didn't you use a condom? Did your mom ever talk to you about sex? Did the health curriculum at school ever help you with sex? What was your interpretation of sex? I mean the whole 9 yards, just letting it all out. And I took these stories and I began to examine what was common and what was different about all of them. You know, and the 2 things that we found out, that most kids didn't feel like health curriculum really addressed sex issues that kids was going through and really needed to understand, and that parents really wasn't talking to their kids about sex. Most of the kids was finding out sex through their friends and through TV, through images, through everything else that's going on in the world. So I think, you know, as we started to develop these characters, I began to say, okay, you know, what's real, what's not real, according to the stories that's been given, according to my personal story. And I collaborated with Women's Bellevue Hospital. I collaborated with Ellis Hospital, Planned Parenthood, and I collected all their information. And I took all of this information, and then I began to form these characters based on the information that was given to me, whether right or wrong. It was, you know, I was unbiased in a situation, meaning that it wasn't about what I thought. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can think one thing. Sometimes as creators, we want to put what we feel is right inside of the film, when sometimes it's really not about that. It's really about staying committed to the story. Like, how do you stay committed to a story, even if you disagree with it?
Yeah.
I agree.
Excuse me. And I think that's what makes film powerful, because it literally can reach the masses, you know, talking one time, showing one time. You don't have to keep repeating yourself, or like this time, like we're having a conversation right now, we're having a dialogue, but we would have to keep repeating this conversation for somebody to get it if they didn't watch it, you know, or record it or put it out there. But with a film, once you put it out there, it's up for the world to interpret. And everybody's going to have a different meaning based on their personal experience. And, you know, I didn't hold back, you know, I wanted, and even to some degree, I did, you know, hold back to some degree, because at the end of the day, like, we did have foundations that donated. I was able to get organizations and buy-in from the school district and buy-in from different companies and organizations that was able to say, like, we're willing to go there. But, you know, some things are still politics at the end of the day.
Oh yeah.
Definitely with that. So what inspired you to get into film? And my biggest question with that is, being a minority, is for us, it's music or sports. You know what I mean? It's either you rap, sing, or you do sports. And for me, I took a different path. I mean, I'm podcasting now, yes, which a lot of people do. But I mean, as far as like growing up, huge horror fan, into drag racing, which at the time may seem more like a white sport, but now it's more, people see it's more mixed up.
Right.
And same thing with like watching horror films, being into Marvel. Yes, I love music, don't get me wrong, but it's like, that's not, first of all, I suck at sports. I love sports, but I'm not athletic. So I was like, this isn't going to be for me. But what inspired you to get into film, which I think is a dope thing. And I want to see more women and minorities into film. Not, well, one, because I love them. I love film. So I'm like, what drove you into wanting to be a director?
The kids. Connected to high school. I didn't know I was a director. You know, they seen it in me before I even seen it in myself. You know what I'm saying? So originally, when I first started doing any type of video, my first 4 years, I did television production. And then after that, then I got into film. So technically, I've been doing film for like 10 years. And I've been doing film. I've been doing film for like 10 years. And I did television production for like 4 years. So I got a total of like 14 years experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just finished my third film, which was a short film. And when I first started doing video, I actually started a program at Schenectady High School. I was 21 years old. I was working at Schenectady High School as a paraprofessional. And I thought to myself, well, I'm going to start a studio for the kids. And I thought it was something that I wanted to do. It was just something that was on my heart that I felt like the kids needed at Schenectady High School. And I started like just dialing into that. And next thing you know, but now to my knowledge that Schenectady High School is 5th in the nation for best fine arts.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
They just had spent millions of dollars, literally millions of dollars, rebuilding the fine arts program.
I had no idea.
Yeah, no, this is actually going on. And at that time, I was like working with the kids, and somebody told me like, hey, they have a television studio on the next side of the building.
That's awesome.
I said, they have a whole television studio, and this television studio was actually connected with Proctor's. So when the kids would produce content, this content would get sent to Proctor's for Proctor's to air on the public education access channel. So that was the line, right? We produce content with the kids. They take the content and air it on the access channel. So I went down there, talked to the teacher involved, and Mr. Connolly, next thing you know, he offered me a different job from a paraprofessional to be a social media specialist. Basically, I would be hired to build video content for the district, highlighting anything that's good or any accomplishments with the kids through video form. But I honestly didn't want to do video. I really wanted to do music. That was really my goal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't really want to do videos because I didn't know nothing about video. I was never a videographer. I never picked up a camera before. And so they made it so that if I promised to learn video, that I would be able to do some of my music along with everything else. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to take a chance. I took a chance, went over there. My second year at Schenectady High School, I started learning video. And I didn't like it at first, you know what I'm saying? Because it really wasn't a thing. Like, I wanted to learn it, but it wasn't a thing that I was really into. I think it wasn't until Mr. Connolly kind of made me feel like I was almost a little bit illiterate. And I think at that point, I just said, you know what? I just want to prove a point. And I just want to learn the software. And by learning the software, I ended up finding myself in a place where I fell in love with it. I fell in love with video. And the kids pushed me because the after school program, I was able to implement those skills and really like connect with the kids and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. This is what I am doing. You guys want to, you know, kind of try with me. And they did. They believed in me. And
Awesome.
they believed in me. And I remember one day when I was doing my first film, you know, I had produced the beat, whatever the case may be. And I told one of the kids, I said, write a song. And they came up with a song called Fast Life. And I said, you know what? This is dope. Let's kind of like shoot a music video. So the kids was like, well, let's do like a little movie. So I was like, okay, kind of like Thriller, like a cinematic music video instead of just a music video. You want to kind of create a storyline.
Yeah.
And they kept adding scenes and scenes and scenes and scenes. And I said, well, you know, how long is this going to be? It's going to be over 20 minutes, you know, like, and the kids, I remember one day I had over 70 kids screaming at me, literally in the middle of the classroom saying, yo, Sprauve, let's shoot a film. Let's shoot a movie. And I'm like, me shoot a movie? I don't want to shoot a movie. I can't shoot a movie. I'm not the guy to shoot a movie. I don't know nothing about shooting a movie. I've never been to film school. I'm not qualified to shoot a movie. And you know what they said to me? They said, if anybody would know how to shoot a film, it would be you.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Them giving me the assignment to say, you are the person we want to take on this project into film because we believe in you.
Wow.
You don't even know what you are yet. And I
That's
see that as a way to say, you know what? I'm going to do it.
That's got to be a strange and amazing feeling at the same time.
that's huge.
It is, because at the end of the day, I really feel like this is a calling for me. This is a gift. I never went to film school. I don't know what it's like to go to film school. I never been to any courses. YouTube has been my best friend, you know, and that's why I think, you know, I take the approach that I take where like people may look at me and say, hey, you know, you've done this, but I'm like, you know, I'm blessed to be in this position, you know, and I don't take it for granted anybody that wants to do a podcast or got something going on. You know, the good scripture says, I don't mean to get, you know, Bible on y'all, nothing, but despise not small beginnings. You know what I'm saying? And I take that quote with me as, you know, everything that's great starts from something small. Starts from thought, starts from something small, and great. That's how great things are built. And it'll be the things that we least expect, honestly, that'll carry us over to things, you know, into greatness. I didn't know I was going to do film. If you would have told me I was going to be a film director 15 years ago, living full time off of film directing, like this is what I do all day long. I'm literally in the middle of writing a web series. I just wrapped up a writing session to do this podcast.
Awesome.
That's awesome. That right there is so inspiring because again, just being a local talent. I know you were born in Brooklyn, but being a local talent, it's just amazing. And I'm sure it's very inspiring for these children. I mean, they told you like, look, we want you to shoot this movie. And then other children that are from our area, just in the capital region, are gonna be like, oh wow, they'll see this film, they'll see other films that you produced or that you directed and stuff. And on top of that, I seen, was it a post a day or two ago when you're saying how you want to shoot films in this area with people in this area. And I respect that so much. And I love what was another one you said? I don't remember it verbatim, but basically like, why go to Hollywood? When we have talent here where we can shoot film here, why not blow up Schenectady? Why not make Schenectady in the capital region bigger?
Because people don't understand, Aaron, that at once upon a time, these places that we think are like they were here. They were like this.
Yeah. You're right.
And what they took the time to do was build something called culture, film culture, where if you have a project that's coming out that's a film, well, it can thrive here because people understand the culture. The people they understand, and when you understand the culture, it's much easier to invest. It's much easier to understand. Like if you go to LA, it's easier to probably get a film funded in LA than it is in the upstate area. Yeah. Upstate area, people are not funding films on a regular. Like you have to be special. Like you literally have to have an independent network up here of independent individuals that believe in you for you to get financed, for your film to get financed. If you was an ATL and you presented them probably them same ideas, you would probably have a better chance of getting financed because people understand how much money film really brings in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that has to do with the culture. The people are not educated. They think, oh, film is like something that's like taboo or like as if like, oh, there's no money in film. There's no money in this arts. There's no money in what we do. There's plenty of money in what we do. It brings in tons of money. And not only does it bring in money, but then we become attractive to bigger productions. People to shoot here. You got to think about it. How many films have made areas big? Think about it.
I mean, we were just talking prior to this about, I mean, as we were joking about looking at the background of Schenectady and trying to figure out what things were, other stuff that had been around. Like we talked about, I don't know what, most recently, I think Amazon just wrapped up a new series they're doing that's going to be filmed in Albany. Daredevil, the Netflix show, film scenes in Albany. I know other places have been in Schenectady. Place Beyond the Pines,
right,
was a big one.
Filming my first film, Fast Life, at the same time as Place Beyond the Pines in Schenectady.
Oh yeah,
literally, like we was like flip flopping. Like they was filming at Schenectady High School one day for a couple of days, and then a couple of weeks later, I was filming at Schenectady High School. It was like crazy, you know, like so. No, that was a big project, and you know, a lot of people didn't like that project. A lot of people did love that project. It didn't matter if people liked it or loved it. The point was that we had a major production being done in our town. I think to me, that was the most important thing.
Oh yeah. By the way, shout out to Daquan and Brianna. Daquan sent some fire emojis. Brianna says she's so proud of you. Now look at you.
Yeah, man. Like it's, again, going back to your film, just watching this, I'm just like, this is so cool. It's a really good film. It's a really good story. And I like how you, through this whole film, I didn't feel like you glorified like the gang mentality and the violence at all. Like you showed, okay, you get into this lifestyle, this is the shit that's gonna happen. Like you're either gonna end up locked up or dead. There's unless you get out of it at the right time, you're gonna end up locked up or dead. And it's usually, I've never lived in this lifestyle, but I'm just saying from what I've learned and heard from others and research, or I'll say, or just documentaries in general, it's usually people that are close to you that get you into that type of lifestyle, which seems crazy. But it's like you have that older brother. In this case, it was the uncle. You know what I mean? It could be parents, it could be whoever. It's someone you look up to, and you think that person's cool because of the flashiness. You don't think of anything else but the flashiness. I'll say, as far as being males, well, that's three. You think of the jewelry, the cars, and the women, and that's basically it. You don't think of anything else.
There's that, and I think it also shows like it's not as clear cut. It's not like he did Sean, the main character there, just really necessarily chose that path of trying to get life on the streets and hustling and things like that. Like his uncle was kind of like his male role model at that time, and is like, you got to be there for family. So it was something that gradually happened and kind of sucked him in. Yeah, it's appealing because he wants to make money, but at the same time, you could tell there is at least some internal struggle that he knows it's not, totally on the up and up and everything.
Yes, especially towards the end, which I'm not going to give it away because I don't know how many people have seen the film, but especially towards the end of the film and that scene with him and his uncle and the other gentleman that he was having the issue with, he didn't want to do that. He did, like, I didn't think that, like, when I'm watching it, I'm like, I already know what's going to happen. He's just going to not do it. And then him and his uncle are going to be beefing. And it wasn't that. He did not want to do that at all. And I feel like after he did that, and when you see him again in the film, he just realized, like, I just fucked my whole life up. I really need to man up.
Right. And I think that's a lot of kids, especially in the urban area. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get a lot of kids that find themselves in situations that they're not like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to understand, like, as human beings, is like, we operate off of behavior, like how we influence one another, right? So, like, if you're around somebody that's telling you that every single day, like, to do this is cool. Every single day, the way the mind works is that eventually we probably will begin to believe that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I had a girl in my program, right? I remember one time I had a young girl in my program. She was in high school. She used to always feel like she was fat. Now, she was nothing but 160, 150 pounds. But in her mind, she was fat because her mother told her she was fat. My point is that the way our brain works is that if we're told something a certain amount of times, or we look at something a certain amount of times, eventually it begins to take root.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you found yourself with these characters taking a journey where, like, you can watch these kids and you can clearly see they're not like that. Like, you're really not like that. Like, you're
Not
faking.
at all.
Like, you're really faking. Like, you're really not like that. And I know you to be better than that. But how do you be better when you don't know how to see better, when you've never seen better, and when nobody around you is doing better?
That's true.
We do better when we are pushed to do better.
That's true.
One of the
when you've seen somebody do better in your life that showed you that it's possible to do better.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what's important. Like, most of us don't know what it's like to see better or do better. So for me, it's like I wanted to show like how these kids how the average person honestly can get caught up in these situations, because you don't have to be. You could be from the suburbs. You can have all the right things. You see, Hector was a prime example. Like, he had to.
Poor Hector.
And it's funny you bring him up, because a lot of people will say, well, you know, 2-parent households, 1-parent household, whatever the case may be. But like you said, he had that 2-parent household and he still went, you know, he still did what he did and had certain things happen to him. He had a lot of opportunities taken from him. And I'm not going to sit here and blame the woman, but again, as a guy, especially as a young teen, you're thinking with the wrong head. You're just thinking like, even though he had his head on straight, his parent, mainly his father, was just like, look, this is what you're going to do. Boom, 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 boom. His father's like planning out his life. But when that opportunity comes, which we've all been there before, maybe not to that extent, but we've all been there before. It's like, yo, look, this girl says, yeah, fuck it, this is what I'm going to do. And then he had to deal with the consequences of those actions.
Right.
But it was an interesting contrast, because you have Sean that has his grandmother, no parents. You have Hector that has both his parents, but his dad's so on his ass.
Right.
That, you know, that's not the best situation either, just because he has both his parents there.
Right. And that's what I wanted to like show parents. Like, listen, just because you think you're supplying the money aspect or the financial aspect or the roof and the shelter and there's certain things that your kid, don't mean that these kids don't need still don't need to be attended to.
Yeah.
All of our kids need to be attended to. That's the point. It's like, but there's intricate problems that come with certain areas. What Hector was dealing with, Sean wasn't dealing with. Sean was dealing with a totally different dynamic from Hector. If you look at the fight, even when they was fighting, when they was face to face, if you look, that was literally the sum of the whole movie. Hector and Sean face to face. When they was face to face, when Hector beat up Sean because he found out that Arrow, whatever the case may be, was pregnant with a child. Whatever. So when they was face to face, at that point, I knew that this was the face of the movie right here. Like, this was like, as different Sean and Hector was, they found themselves in a very common situation.
Yeah.
A very common situation.
Oh,
Sean and Hector probably would have never talked had it not been, or never been in a situation where they was conversing like this on back and forth, had they not been in this situation together.
That's very true. And
because I don't think they had any lines or even a scene together up until
besides those
he just
it was very minimum.
Yeah.
It was very minimum. And that's what I wanted to show, how easy it is for the average person to end up in a situation. It does not matter about your economic status. Those things play a part in cleaning up the aftermath. But it doesn't take away from the fact that your child can go through that. It does not matter who you are, your economic status, where you think you are, what you think you've taught your child, or whatever the case may be. It doesn't. If your child is engaging in sexual activity, These are the things that it's subject to. These are the things that are possible.
Very true.
Yeah.
You can be the smartest and still end up with a baby.
Yeah.
There are grown adults that end up going to the bar, over drinking, doing a one-night stand, and end up with a baby. You know what I'm saying? So like these things happen on a regular basis. But I think for kids, it's like what I wanted to show was you got to count the cost before you take the journey. Make sure that if you're going to take this journey, this is what it comes with. You willing to go through that? You want to go through?
That's true. That's true.
And it's a hard point to get across to those teenagers, man.
It really is. And one thing I did like a lot about this film, another thing with Hector and Sean, is you think Sean is the tough guy because of his uncle, because of the lifestyle that he thinks he wants to live, but deep down he really doesn't want to live. And you think Hector is soft or a sucker not because he's respecting his parents, so it's like, okay,
right,
guys in the locker room, you're joking, okay, you're a virgin, blah blah blah, blah. All that stuff, like you're getting good grade, you're an A student, you're getting scholarships. They want to make that look bad, but I like how in this film how you made it look good. Like that's honestly, children, listen, if any young people are watching, if you have an opportunity to get a scholarship because of whatever it is, sports or your grades or whatever, don't fuck up that opportunity. If that's what you want to do, don't fuck up that opportunity. That's one. But what I was getting at is I like how Hector was a lot tougher than you thought he was.
Right.
And Sean was a lot, I don't want to say soft, but you know what I mean? Like he wasn't as tough as you thought he was. He really wasn't. He wasn't about that life.
Right. He wasn't.
No, Sean was trying to portray a role that he thought he kind of had to, is kind of what it seemed like. And you could see the conflict, which I thought was great. And I mean, of course you have Hector that has these opportunities in front of him, but status doesn't matter. Everyone has their own struggles.
Right.
And their environment plays a part in that.
Right.
What was it like? Like, these are all local kids, right? Have any of these kids or people in the movie acted prior to this?
No. Most of them, a few of them did some theater. You know what I'm saying? But never been in a film before. Everybody you saw has never been in a film before.
What was it like trying to kind of wrangle everyone together that didn't really have the experience of being in a film and trying to get this?
You have to be almost crazy. You have to be a madman. Like when I'm dealing with people, like this whole process of writing, I'm literally right now I'm writing a web series, and I think I just found my main character to the web series. So
I'm honored.
Yeah, literally today. This all happened today. So I'm on the phone. The guy inboxes me, and I look at his pictures. I look at him, and I say, "Come to my house right now. If you can get to my house right now, and literally, I don't know what you're doing. Stop what you're doing. Come to my house right now." He came to my house, and we literally had a 3-hour meeting.
Wow.
And because I don't play by rules. I remember after I did my first film, there was a film director by the name of Joe Piazza. He was a local film director, have over 35 years experience. And he said some of the best things to me, and he gave me some of the best advice I could ever have been given as a film director, especially as an up and coming film director. I was telling him, I was like, yeah, I want to learn all the terms. I want to learn everything about film directing. I want to learn, what the people are doing. And he said, why? He said, you need to make films how you made your first film, because you wasn't taught to do film, and you did it in a certain type of way that was convenient for you. It was a gift. It's a gift that you have, but you need to master your gift. You need to tone in on your craft, and you need to understand your own process, how you get from point A to point Z. And that was some of the best advice he gave me, because it made me not want to just dial into a whole bunch of technical terms. Right? You can get in a Hollywood set and you can get lost on that. Yeah. But is it really about that, or is it about making a good film? Because once you get to that level, it's about ratings and money. It's not about content, right? Content is last. Like they want to know one thing: can this movie sell? Can it make money? And what are the people going to think about it? And what is it? And where is this going to be rated at? Me, on the other hand, he was basically telling me like, you have a gift. Don't worry about none of those things. Those things are going to come. Focus on making sure you are producing the best content that you can within your availability. And I pushed the envelope. Fast Life, I took $1,000 of my own money and I made that film.
Wow.
That was my first film. It took me 3 years to make that film. I had over 200 people involved in that film.
Oh, nice.
I raised $50,000 on the first one.
Wow.
We actually put out the film. I had over 1,700 people in attendance at Proctor's Theater to watch that film.
Well, that's fantastic.
That's amazing. Congratulations on that.
Yeah,
by the way.
congrats.
Congratulations on both films, creating films. And
that was my first film. My second film, Cradle, had over 1,500 people involved in attendance to watch that film. I had over 250 people involved in that film. And
Wow.
I raised $250,000 to put that film out.
Again, man, seriously, congratulations on that, because you told a really good story. Again, I'm going back to that, and you told a really important story. But not only that, you didn't give up. Like, there's plenty of people, I'm sure, who picked up a camera, like, I want to make a movie, and because I'm sure you had bumps in the road.
Oh,
and they had those bumps, and then you know, what I mean? A few of the bumps they went over, and then once I got those more bumps, they were like, you know what, this isn't for me. And instead of fighting through it, they just quit. But obviously, your film came out, so you didn't quit, and that's another amazing, awesome thing.
6 years.
Just going back to what I was saying earlier about the whole music and sports thing, I love how you put that avenue out there for people, not even just minorities. Let's say people from the capital region. Like, look, if I want to make a movie or be in a movie, it's possible. Like, it's 100% possible. I just have to have that drive. Yes, it does take it does take talent. Don't get me wrong, but you have to at least try. You have to practice. You have to try and go for it. And you're showing people that they can actually go for it to either be in a movie or direct them, whatever the case, just something with a movie. You don't have to just dribble a ball, catch a ball, or rap or sing a cool lyric.
You know, you want to know what's funny? Is that before I was a director, I was an artist.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was, I've been rapping since I was 11 years old. Cool. I'm actually releasing an EP this year for the first time.
Nice.
I got a couple mixtapes back in the day and stuff like that I released and stuff like that. But, this, summer I'll be releasing an EP. My whole point is that I really thought about it and said, I can be an artist. I can rap. I can do all that. But that's not what I feel is going to get me in the door.
Yeah.
I felt film directing was more of an assignment for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I felt like I was stronger as a film director than I was being a rapper, And then once I, explored film directing, I realized how many more jobs is available besides just film directing, or what you can do in this area. I mean, there's people just making money just off of color grading. There's people just making money just off of strictly editing. Like literally, like all they do is edit all day long. And I think once you begin to explore those possibilities, it starts to put things into perspective a little bit better, because you start to say to yourself, wow, I'm not limited to just dribbling the basketball and rapping in the booth.
Yeah.
So much more in the business, and those jobs are really more sustainable than the jobs that have all the glamour, glitz, and glamour.
Oh, definitely. By far.
So like, I promote people like, look, a camera operator will probably outlast an actor any day.
It's funny because like I'm a huge music fan. So when I read music trivia or just stuff about albums that I really enjoy, it sounds like being a studio musician is where it's at, because you can play on all these people's albums.
Right.
And like, filling in the background for them and you know, stuff like that.
Mhm.
You're getting paid a handsome sum for that. You're not going out on tour with them, but
Right.
like you're the one that's constantly working.
Right. You are. You really
So
are.
it's those background people that really fill it out. Yeah.
Right. And I think for the most part, I think like for me is like becoming a director is like, I think it's a beautiful thing. I love being a director. I wouldn't want to be anything else. It's like, yes, all of my weekends are going to be taken up. Yes, all of my time is going to be dedicated to writing scripts and stuff. But there's no better film than real life. And that's what I live by. I literally live by that. There's no better film than real life. I'm literally giving you, you know, people are saying, oh, that's a problem. Well, it should be a problem. And I'm glad that you think it's a problem, because that's a reflection of what's going on in our community right here amongst you. Every day you drive by, you are passing people who are most likely probably like facing these types of issues.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, you don't have to go through these things to have any type of empathy or even sympathy. It's like, our young babies are going through this, and this is a real situation, whether we think it's real or not. It's real.
There was, as I was looking at your website and kind of reading the about section and everything, the amount of research that went into Cradle is fascinating. I mean, what's that experience like where you're going out and talking to these women that have been in that situation? Like, is it heartbreaking? Is it a lot to take in?
It is, because there were stories I didn't even use. Like there were stories I was like, okay, this I don't know, like just on a movie end, this is not gonna probably work for me. Like I had one story where like one girl got pregnant by her brother.
Wow.
Like she was raped by her brother and she kept the baby. So her son's father is her brother.
Wow.
You know, it would have just realistically, most people would have heard that and be like, that's not true. Like most people don't go through that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? It'd have been like, it would have really I really felt like it would have took away from her story, because, you know, the average person is not going through that.
Mm-hmm.
Where your father, you know, your brother is the father of your baby because he raped you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that wasn't something that I felt like most people in Schenectady could relate to. That's the only reason why I didn't put it inside of the film. But otherwise, I would have, after assessing the temperature of people here, and really looking at stories and really looking at how people viewed teen pregnancy and what that was like. I mean, Schenectady was second in the state for highest teenage pregnancy rates. We're only a population of only 75,000 people. So how is it that the Bronx or Albany that has quadruple or 10 times more of the population that we have here in Schenectady, but yet we have a higher rate? You know, Planned Parenthood had their own office at the high school.
Oh, wow. This
was real. This is all stuff that was going on. This is why they gave to the project, because I was telling them, it's like, look, and we did drop. We dropped 6 points. We went from second to number 8. You know what I'm saying? So like, and to drop a point, that means like there's a lot of pregnancies not being had for that to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like 1 point may seem insignificant, but in reality, if you look at the ratio and you look at the numbers, we were improving by hundreds. You know, we was having conferences at the high school every year with nothing but 9th graders showing documentaries. Like that was the promise to help. The school district was using my videos, Cradle, documentaries I did around these girls. There was other documentaries that came out that wasn't even film-wise, but it was a documentary that showed the realities of what these young girls and young men was going through. They used that content in the classroom and at school conferences to actually like educate the kids about what this was really like. Like you got to think. You think you just going with this girl to a parent's house after school and nobody's home and you guys want to do what you want to do, and that's cool until a real life is involved.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you're right.
life has changed that quickly.
Plus, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, but shout out to Kiyosha Elam, who says, love that. No better film than real life. That statement's powerful. So shout out to her.
Very true. Very true. And again, going back to Cradle again, this should be shown. I really feel this should be shown, maybe high school. I know a lot of, when they show certain films, you have to write the little permission slip. But I feel like high school / I'll say like freshman year. Because it's that thing where I feel like the male ego when we're growing, that's when it really hits. It's like in the high school years when it really hits to when you're really changing into that next. I'm not going to say what you're going to be after high school, but it's that like that next part before.
Oh, yeah. Teenage boys are the worst, man. They are.
Right.
haven't lived through that.
I mean, because like teenage boys, I mean, typically they out for one thing.
Even grown men, it's still.
I mean, if you want to be, I'm not claiming every man. Let me make this clear.
Yeah,
I'm not. Every man is out for one thing, but we all know, as a man, most men want what they want, right? Yeah. And the hunt is on, whether or not you see her or she's attracted to you or whatever the case may be. And my thing is like that relationship reciprocates the same energy back and forth, because women want it and girls want it just as much as the boys and the guys want it.
Mm-hmm.
But that behavior is just shaped a little bit differently. And I think for guys, it's like, all right, the more women we have,
the better.
The more we're glorified. The better you look.
And I think sorry to interrupt. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think even the important thing is, besides showing these to these kids, is getting the parents to understand that, it's on them too. You can't just assume that your kids are going to learn this in health class and that, you don't really have to chat with them about it.
I got a serious question for both of you. I've never had this. I've never talked about sex with either one of my parents. Have you guys had that talk with your own parents?
No, I don't think I had.
Like just
I didn't have it with my mom. I didn't have it. My dad died 3 days after my birthday. I was 13 years old, so he died very early in my life. But my mom, I didn't have that conversation with my mom. But I think this movie really, I have two kids. I have an 11-year-old, and my daughter was in the film. She was actually Shantae's little sister.
Oh,
that was
cool.
My daughter. You know what I'm saying? So she actually played the little sister, but that really shaped the way I do talk to her. This film really shaped the way, because I realized it's like, I can't hide nothing from my daughter these days. I can't hide nothing from my kids, whether I want to or not. Because you have something called Google.
Oh, yeah.
And guess what? You can look up anything that you want to on Google. And when you understand that concept right there, you begin to say, you know what? I'd rather be real with my kids, and I'd rather them learn from me versus go out there and learn from somebody that I don't know.
Aaron, you ask an interesting question, and I think it's a product of the times. I don't think our parents were brought up to get in talks from their parents.
You're probably right.
It doesn't surprise me that wouldn't carry on into our generation. But as technology advances, as everybody is just out there for everything all the time. I feel like, I don't have a kid now, but if I did, you got to start early so that it just comes naturally. So you don't, because I think the fear is the awkwardness. It's like you feel awkward. You don't want to talk about it. But if you do start early, ease into that kind of stuff over time, that awkwardness isn't there.
It isn't regular.
I'll say the furthest that I've gone into those conversations was when I was a little kid, and it was my mother teaching me about like the good touch and the bad touch. Mainly like if an adult, seriously, like if an adult touches you, say something, let me know, stuff like that. But as far as like sex and all that other stuff, which right now it's too late. I already know about it. I know about the birds and the bees.
Right.
Mom and dad, you guys are the latest. I don't even want to have that conversation with you guys right now. But
you think you know it.
I mean, I know something, but I do really feel like it's a very important conversation for parents to have with their children. I feel like if both parents are involved, if the parents are together or not, I feel like a mother should talk to her daughter, but I also feel like a father should talk to her daughter about this, and vice versa, because you're going to get different perspectives. You're going to get both sides of the coin. You're going to get both sides of the story, because a mother's going to be, be careful, this, that, and the third. But a father, you'll be a little bit more stern and more protective over your daughter. It's like, listen, this is what all guys want, blah, 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 blah. And honestly, I feel like that same protection that you put over your daughter, you should have that same. I have stepchildren. I don't have any children of my own, but I feel like you should put that same protection over your son.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's another thing is you I don't think you should take different approaches necessarily. You kind of got to, if you have a son and or a daughter, you got to treat it the same way. Be like, this is what.
And I think sometimes actually do treat it differently, because let's just be honest. Like we
know how dudes are. We know how we are.
Like gender does play a role in how we treat one another.
Yeah.
If you're a male, you're glorified. If you're a female, you're a hoe. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's one or the other. When it's like, okay, it's like one time there was this, I was talking to a friend of mine, and we was talking about a particular situation where a school teacher had sex with one of his students or whatever, female. So make a long story short, it was like, if it was a young man having sex with a female teacher, it was looked at differently.
He'd be getting high fives and the
right.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, and it's messed up as it sounds, yo. Like, I know I've joked about with my guy friends. I'm not sure if you have or not, but as far as the whole with the teacher thing, you're just like, because you see some of these teachers, just like, where were these teachers when I was in school? Which is
for
a
real.
terrible thing to say and a terrible thing to think.
No, you're absolutely right. But I think these are real topics and real things that we don't really want to acknowledge, because it's really deep down inside. It's a little ugly, but it's a reality and a real reflection of how we think in this society.
Yeah.
Like I've had people be like, well, why would you stop your son from being a man and try to? It's like, I don't want a grown woman touching my son.
Yeah. And
you know what I'm saying? Like, you think about it, I would have different. If a grown man was touching my daughter,
you'd want to kill him.
Like I'd be ready to kill him. So what? So why would it be different from a grown woman
to a grown? Exactly.
Son?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an adult touching a child.
Exactly. But
like forget the gender roles for a second.
Yeah, you're 1,000,000% right. But even when we listen to music or listen to stories, it's always like, if a young girl's touched by an adult male, it's terrible, it's disgusting, it's horrible, which it is. But if a younger male is touched by a woman, it's, oh, he's lucky. Why couldn't this happen? But it's terrible. That's not something glorifying and bragging about. And I feel like there needs to be more of a taboo thing on it. Maybe in film, yes, because you can sit down and teach your children everything. You can teach your children. You can go use the character Hector.
Right.
Not saying his parents are perfect, especially the father, but as far as like them making sure his grades were good, them making sure he's getting a college scholarship and all that good stuff.
Right.
Yes, that's important, but there's way more important things that you have to deal with. Like, you have to have that relationship with your father-son relationship is very important. It's more important than baseball in this situation, which you pinpointed that perfectly with that. Like, it's more important than you being the best athlete on the team.
It's way more important.
Way more important. But there's a lot of people who have this. Let's just stick with the sports. Who have this? They're the best player on the team, and their parents just like, look, do good in school, do good in sports, and then that's all their relationship is.
You need to have that comfort in communication, because either this, if you don't want to be in a situation where the child is afraid to reflect how they're feeling, or vice versa. And I that's where things can start to really go awry, I think.
I agree. And I think sometimes, like, for me, it's like, I want to let people know, like, our young men are affected just as much as our young women. in these situations. And it's just not, I don't really glorify any of it as far as like, young men sleeping with all like a whole bunch of females. Like, I'm dedicated to Black people's stories. And the reason why I'm dedicated to is because I feel like there's a lot of narratives that are not true in the main media. You know what I'm saying? There are a lot of narratives. You understand, like, not to make this a race thing, but 75% of white people don't live around Black people. So like your only images of Black people is really media. What you see online, what you see on TV, and those images that are given, those really kind of like really reinstate and reinforce what some white people may even feel.
Probably.
You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing, vice versa. It's not even just white people, it's Black people, because there's images we see all the time that we say, oh, how it must be. And it's not always that, if you want to say black and white. And I think, well, like, once we get to a place where we can be honest with ourselves, honest about our situations, honest about how we feel about certain situations, and we are able to put that in art, I think those are the best films. Those are the best scenes, those are the best films, those are the best moments, because again, it's no better film than real life.
I agree. And what you did with the Cradle film, which I do really enjoy, is with all the stuff that was going on, it was it was an entertaining movie. It grabbed you, like you paid attention to it, but it was very educational at the same time. Like there's a lot of things. It was like you put the medicine in the candy. Like, look, there's gonna be a lot of crazy things that goes on in this movie that's gonna grab your attention, but at the same time, I'm teaching you a lesson.
Right.
And also to, like you're saying, yes to the youth, but also to the parents. Like, listen, parents, you really need to figure out what's going on in your children's lives. And I mean, another story of what I loved in this film is, which me and Chris were talking about before we started recording, was the one with the mother and the daughter. They had the falling out at first. The daughter moves out, she ends up coming back, and their relationship was better than ever. Better than ever, because they had that understanding. Like, they missed each other. They had that understanding, and her daughter went through some shit, and she was just like, I need to be here for my daughter. And her daughter, but what I loved was her daughter was, yes, she was a teen, but she was adult enough to be like, listen, I need my mother. I need to go back to my mom. This isn't going to work.
Well, she knew she had gotten herself into a bad situation. She was smart enough to know, well, even though she was pregnant, like, this is not where I need to be.
That was my mom.
That's awesome.
Like, literally, like, my mom was like that. Like, my mom was in a very abusive situation, where, me and my mom had moved in with her boyfriend. I was about 5 years old. And, during that time, my mom was only about 20 years old. I was 5. And she moved in with him because it's like she didn't really have nowhere to go. And he was very abusive. You know what I'm saying? So, like, he took advantage of me and my mom's situation. But my mom realized and said, this is not conducive for my son. And she got us up out of there. She got us a brand new apartment somewhere else. She, some people stay in them situations.
Yeah.
Some people stay in them situations and they don't realize how it affects the people that you bring into these situations and the people that you claim that you love.
Yeah.
And doing that let me know, as I matured, how much my mother really loved me. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That she wasn't willing to keep me in that situation. She wasn't willing to say, this is what I'm going to settle for. I watched my mother get hit in the face with a sneaker.
Yeah.
I was 6.
Yeah. And see, with again, I've never been in a situation like that, but just thinking now as a grown ass man, what I would do if I seen somebody hit my mother, I don't know what I would do. I would lose my fucking mind.
Yeah, man.
Right.
But it's one of those things to where in that situation where your mother, which I'm happy she did get out of the situation, and anybody that gets out of the situation, I'm happy that they get out of those situations. But for the ones that stay, I feel like it's part of it is out of fear. Maybe a huge part of it's out of fear. And then I feel as far as their children seeing that, not saying every single person that's in this situation, but some of the children that see that, they're like, okay, this is how it's supposed to be. Like, for a female, okay, if I mess up, my my boyfriend or husband, whatever, is going to hit me because I fucked up. That's wrong. And that's not how it should be. And for some, not all men or women, but for some boys that grew up in that situation, they're like, okay, well, I seen my mother get hit by dudes because blah, 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 blah. So it must be right. I'm not saying they think about that like out loud in the back of their mind.
No,
but subconsciously you start to think it is normal behavior.
Yeah.
You literally repeat people don't understand, like, we soak up all of the energy that's around us, even as a kid. Our first years is all about energy and what's being given to us. And so watching those things, that's one of the reasons why today I don't put my hands on women at all. Only because I watched my mother go through it. So it's something a little bit more personal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't do it because it's just like, I don't want to hurt a woman. Yeah, I don't want to hurt a woman. I don't want to hurt anybody. But I think it's even more personal for me because it's like, I watch somebody I love go through it, so I know how much it hurts. You know what I'm saying? Like, I experienced that pain with my mom. You know what I'm saying? So, watching those things, those are things that, how many people in the world could relate to?
Oh, plenty. And that's another thing that we mentioned earlier in this episode, was that's something that doesn't have a color to it. That's just a situation. That's just a terrible situation anywhere. And
it has no color, has no gender, has no nothing to it.
Yeah. And it's sad. It's terrible. And I mean, I know you're talking about, with your mother, but there is also, which we laugh at this, and I'm trying to say it's not laughing, but there is men that are in a situation with females where a female will put their hands on them, and
absolutely right.
And you see, you're laughing. You're about to laugh now, but
no, but it's similar to the double standard of the male student sleeping with the female teacher. It's
very similar because it's like, yo, your girl's hitting you, man. You can't restrain her, blah blah blah. But it's like, you can only do so much. You can only do so much in those situations. And again, yes, we're saying it jokingly, like you'd laugh, like even making jokes. If you make a joke about a woman whooping your ass, it's a funny story. If you make a joke about a man beating on a woman or whatever, you're like, yo, that's not funny.
Right.
Even they did something on YouTube. I don't remember the channel or anything, but they were doing domestic violence, like a domestic violence dispute or whatever, and they're having like a girl like smack up our guy and like yell at him and shake him and all this stuff. And they did it like in front of about, say, 10 to 15 different people. Maybe one person intervened, vice versa. Every single person intervened. They were ready to fight. And I'm like, why can't it be? It should. I'm not gonna say you should be ready to fight, but you should try to, if you see a dude getting his ass whooped by his girl, maybe you should try to, like, yo, something. Try to help. And even if you have to call the police.
Right.
I mean, again, yes, you're gonna laugh, but it's like, yo, look.
No, it's not that I'm laughing. It's just that because I know how true it be. Like to the culture.
Yes.
Like, even if you went in to go to the police station to file a report, it'd be looked at like, what? Like,
really? You couldn't do anything about that? No, I couldn't.
What's wrong with you?
People will find this messed up, but like, if me and my wife are like wrestling around or play fighting or whatever, and she gets a little too wild, I say, listen, you calm down. I'm going to call Chris Brown. I'm joking when I say this, but it's between me and her to where obviously, if Chris Brown hit my wife, I'm going to try to kill him. Like, that's just simple. Right. But I feel like he should have got his ass beat for that. Don't get me wrong. Like, but onto other things though. It's just funny how certain double standards are the way they are. And it's for certain things, it shouldn't be like that. Like, yes, a man shouldn't hit a woman shouldn't hit a man. I feel like you shouldn't put your hands on anybody without being, if you put your hands on anybody and they hit you back.
Here's the thing that people don't understand, Aaron. Our natural reaction is to defend ourselves.
Yeah.
So if I hit you in your face, it's either two things that's going to happen. Either you're going to take flight or you're going to fight. It's one or the other.
Yep.
Like, and if a person decides to say, I'm going to choose to defend myself.
Yeah. And
I mean, who am I to say no? If you're hitting this person in their face, or you're hitting this person in a way that says that they feel in their mind they need to defend themselves, whether it's a woman or a man. You know what I'm saying? It's like you shouldn't be putting your hands on anybody.
No.
Like just because, women, and I think sometimes women get an excuse because they say, a woman is the weaker vessel, or she's not as strong as a man. Beg the difference.
Listen, I'm a big UFC fan, and if I was with any of them women and they put their hands on me, I'm calling the police. Quick.
if you're still conscious.
Yeah. Have you seen these women fight? Like they're ruthless. They're scary.
I certainly wouldn't want to be in the ring with one of them. No.
See, I can't honestly always say that the cops is going to be called or whatever. I can't. It's like I don't know. It's like you're a human being. It's like once you're put into a situation where you're forced to defend yourself, whether it's male or female, there are certain reactions that may happen. I don't know. I can't depend on and say if I punch you in your face that you're gonna call the cops. You may not. You may get so upset. You may say, I want to kill this person.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like you don't know what you're gonna do really in that moment. You would like to think that this is what you would do.
Yeah.
You would like to think that. That's what you would like to think.
Everybody has is it Mike Tyson that said everyone has a plan till you get punched in the face?
And this is what I'm saying. Like, we don't know.
And actually going back, this conversation right here ties into Cradle with Sean and Hector.
Right.
That whole situation, like that could have went a completely different way if one, if they never fought or say it again.
Sean was very immature.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean,
sure.
But the person that he looked up to, I mean, like, yes, he respected his grandmother, but he looked up to his uncle. So his uncle was even more immature. And I would say his uncle was one of the softest people in the movie, if you really want to think about it.
Yes.
Because what is he doing? He's messing with a high school girl. He's manipulating her, taking care, because her brain is not fully developed. Her mind is not fully developed. That's
right.
And then he's doing the same to his nephew, as far as his mind's not fully developed. So it's like boom, 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 boom. You want this street cred and this respect. This is what you need to do. And with her, it's like, you want to be with me? I'll take care of you, blah, 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 blah. This is what's going to happen.
Right.
And it's sad because, great example, when when the uncle and the girl driving in the car and she's like, hey, I want to go see my sister this weekend. No, you're not going to see her. No. And that happens. Like there's abusive people who are just like, I'm going to take care of you. But they say this with this facade. And it's like, listen, by me taking care of you means I'm controlling your life. Yes, you'll have a roof, you'll have food, you'll have whatever you want. But I say when you can see who you want to see, it's by me. You go through me, which is terrible.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's one of those things to where, yes, the guy had he had the flashy car, he had the money, everything he wanted. And that's all people see. They don't know the whole, they don't see the negative. All you see is oh, wow, he can get, with her, she's probably thinking, oh, well, he's going to take care of me, take care of the baby. He's making good money, blah, 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 blah. You don't see, okay, well, he's a drug dealer. He's supplying drugs to your mother, but she doesn't find out till later, which was just, holy shit. I'm like, again, with Chris, like I said,
I didn't see that one coming. Yeah. I didn't even dawn on me.
Very intense. And once you get like halfway to that halfway point, because the movie's about 2 hours. Once you get to that hour point or a little more, it goes wild, but it all makes sense at the same time. Like it wasn't one of those movies where a bunch of crazy shit happened. None of the story connected. You're just like, this story actually makes sense from the way this person was acting from the first scene to the last scene that you've seen him. Everything adds up.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. And that was like the first half was just like, if you even look at the trailer was even built around how the movie was built.
Mm-hmm.
Like kids are having fun. You think you're having fun because that's how it always is. Like when you engage in what you engage in, you're not thinking about the consequence most of the time.
Not at all.
Most of the time, you think you're above the consequence.
Yep.
Because,
like even Uncle Mike in his situation, it was like one of the things that we did find out that contributed to teenage pregnancy was older men.
Yeah.
Yes.
Believe it or not, that's the reason why.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
No, because you have to understand, like there are a lot of older men that are really underdeveloped. They're not, they don't really know what it is like to be a man, or to like their egos is the way that they define themselves to be a man, how the ego is stroked. You know, how much I tell you, like somebody I say, oh, you're a great filmmaker, you're a great filmmaker. Okay, that's cool. But those are things that don't excite me. What excites me is that you say, you know, I was changed by watching your film.
Yeah.
That's right to me. You know, you see what I'm trying to say? I don't care about being you're the best filmmaker in the world. There's always going to be somebody that's always that can do something better than you.
Yeah.
Right? It's always going to be somebody that's going to like be able to like outshine you or do something better than you, but that's not what I'm looking for. So my focus is, how can I change people? How can I challenge people's intellect? How can I get them to see like the life that you think you want to live, or the life that you're going into? How does that play, and how does that shape your future, your kids' future, and everybody else around you? I want you to understand that everything you do affects everybody. It affects everyone.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everyone. It's not just you. Like, no, Sean, no, Uncle Mike, he affected Sean. You know what I'm saying? Sean had an effect on his baby mother and his child by not being there. Now he's locked up for a long time for something that could have been prevented.
Yeah.
It's a butterfly effect. You know, one person does something and it just ripples through.
And you saying how Sean and his uncle had a lot to do with a lot of shit. The party. Sean and his uncle had a lot to do with the party scene, which you don't find out till later when the one girl gets pregnant. And you find out it's not someone's child, it's someone else's child. And the reason why he didn't know that was because that night he was tore up. He was high. And the girl was like, I have some she never said what her plans were. This girl, I have some plans, blah, blah, blah. I love you. And boom. So I'm just like, that never ever crossed my mind until it was said. I'm just like, holy shit.
Yeah, that was something that didn't pop into my head until, you know, they were doing the flashes there and oh shit.
Because you know what? Because here's how it worked. The best friend, she know her friend so well. She know that if she had lied about that night, it had to be for somebody that she would have never wanted her to know. Because there was no secrets. If you look at how Vivi and Clara opened up in the scenes, right? If you look at how they opened up, I introduce them as Vivi being helpful to Clara. Mom is telling Clara, you got to find somewhere to go tonight because I'm bringing somebody home. You got to take out the garbage. And here is Vivi is, oh, I got you. You know, I'm your, yeah, you come to my house. You know, when Clara got pregnant, who was there? Vivi.
Yep.
She was there for every single step until.
Right. She was there for her the whole time. So it was like when she found out that she lied about Hector and her being together, it was like, whoa. The only reason why you would ever lie about something like that, it would have to be somebody that you don't want me to know about.
Yeah. And for, you know, for these kids that have never really been in a movie or anything like that before, you got some amazing performances out of
yeah, man. Yeah. You know what? I would say that I was blessed to have like, I was very selective about some of the crew members that I had like casted. Originally, Clara and Vivi, honestly, wasn't the original main actors.
No, wow.
I actually can't, like one girl she did a no call, no show where she didn't come to a rehearsal and I cut her immediately. And she was a main character. Because I understood the task that was in front. I said, this is going to be a tough project to pull off because I'm doing it with people that don't understand film. So if you don't care about this project, or if you don't care enough to even call me to even let me know what the situation is about where you are, then you don't deserve to be in this film. I need people, and we shot for a whole year. I was able to keep everybody's attention for a year and a half. You know, every single weekend we shot, every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Literally, I was there every single weekend. So to go through something like that, to like be in a situation where like you have people that are responsible for showing up, but you don't know realistically if they're going to show up, because yes, they've signed some paperwork and stuff like that that says that yes, you are going to show up, but they're not obligated to show up.
Yeah.
And any one of them could have been like, I don't want to do this anymore, and that could have ruined the whole film. But I was sure to select certain people that I knew would be more invested into the vision versus the project.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, the project is one thing, but the vision is much greater than just the project. It's like, I need you to understand that this is also affecting your career. Like you have the opportunity to act on a real production where you can use this for your resume if this is something you're really serious about. And they delivered. You know, I was tough on them. Don't get me wrong. We had a lot of fun on set, but you know, I didn't play no games. When it was time to be quiet, like that saying, quiet on set, that's my daughter named that.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, my daughter named that. That name came from my daughter. I asked my daughter, I said, I'm about to start my company. I'm about to start a new company. I wanted to start an LLC. I said, what is something that I say on set all the time? And she looked at me, my daughter, she's 11 years old. She said, you say always quiet on set.
Awesome.
So I said, oh, you know what? That sounds great. That sounds right. You know what? I want to run with that.
That's cool.
I like it.
That's
Just
how
a couple more lighthearted things I wanted to throw in there. Just the scene where Sean jumps out the window and has to go running away in his underwear made me chuckle a little bit. But I also thought Layla's sister, when they're talking about her going to college, looked exactly like a young Maya Rudolph. I thought, like, that was like my first thought when I saw her sister's face there. And then I noticed as one of the security guards, as they were holding Sean back in the hospital at the end, spiked the lens by looking at it when he looked at it.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I literally, like, you know, of course, there's every movie that you can point out a bunch of mistakes and, you know, a bunch of things you could look at. And you know what? I look back at those times and I say to myself, I'm running with it. It is what it is. They're going to look back and say, how did you even do this with even people that's not SAG, they're not union, they're not anything, you know? So when you look at some of the actors and stuff, like there was a lot of times we had to cut and I'd be like, stop looking in the camera. Like, do not look in the camera. Like, just stop looking in the camera. Like, I need you to understand, like, you are acting. We do not exist. This is a real situation going on, right? And, you know, some of them was able to do it. Most of them was able to do it. Sometimes they got caught up in the moment. And sometimes I didn't notice it because I was busy being a sound man, being a director, being a DP, being a lighting crew, like literally being a camera operator, it's like being the editor, you know, being the story, being a writer, you know. I co-wrote the script with, you know, somebody by the name of Frankie. You know, I actually came up with the skeleton of the project. He wrote it, and then I literally readjusted the whole script.
I'll be right back. Sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like just looking at those things and just looking at how the script even came to pass. We had 7 different versions of the script before I even started shooting.
Wow.
It was 7 different versions. And then even that version of the script was even different from the actual script. Like, if you look at a lot of the language that was in the movie, if you look at the script, it wasn't in there. You know, I'm a person that's like, you know, I go off improv as well. I think improv is powerful. You know,
I agree.
You're like, yo, this is not something this character should say. This is not something, because that's how I want the characters to be, like, kind of like play off each other. It's like, I want these people to understand these characters so well, they would know what these characters should say or would say in these situations. And that takes a rapport to to build, to connect, to understand, to communicate.
Mhm.
All of these things are important. And I think I did a good job connecting people that have never been in this field and putting them in a space where they could really understand how some of these young people can end up in these situations.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And just going back to how you were saying, none of these kids were actors. I mean, they made it in theater here and there, but they've never been in a film. They did a really good job. Like, you did a good job of getting these people in this movie. Everybody in the film, like, it made you believe the film because the acting was good. Because I mean, as you guys know, I do a horror podcast as well. I've seen a lot of indie horror films, and not every single, a lot of the films were great, don't get me wrong, but then there's some films where you can tell that it's like someone's first time acting.
Right.
And in this one, you can't really tell it. It was very natural, and which helped sell the story as well.
Right.
To where you understood, to where you can feel the story, you believe the story. And again, going back to me being from this area, I got a better connection with the story just because I'm from this area, just because it's like,
right.
Usually when you see stories like this, it's usually shot in Atlanta, it's usually shot in the city, it's usually it's usually shot in a big city. And I'm like, it happens in small towns, small cities, it happens everywhere. And I like how you shot it here in our, my hometown. And Chris, you were born here too, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I was.
So yeah, in our hometown, and just seeing it in a smaller environment, to where the same shit that happens in these big cities happens in these smaller cities as well.
It happens often, because everybody knows each other here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a little bit different. Like, everybody kind of like really knows each other. But here's the ironic thing. People don't know each other.
Yeah.
They know things about each other, but they don't know each other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't know me. Like, they know I do film.
But that's all they know.
But that's all they know. And people will go off those things and then try to rebuild and try to like build what they think they know about you, based on what they know about you. And so in this case, it's like, I'm looking at how we took a bunch of people and put them in roles that I even connected some of the real actors to some of the teenage moms and dads. Like, walk with them, talk with them.
Makes sense, though. It makes sense because if you don't, the people you got in this film, if they don't experience it personally and they don't hear it from somebody, like, it's one thing hearing it from a film, but it's one, when you're acting in a film, but it's another thing, you're doing your research. It's another thing actually sitting down and talking with someone that's been through certain things, because you're just like, because you have the sympathy for it. You kind of get a better feeling for it. And it's just like, holy shit, like, this is what you go through every single day. And
I had one kid that interviewed that said, he had bought the crib, he had quit school, found a job, did all the right things, stepped up to the plate, only to find out that wasn't his kid. That's how Hector's part kind of came about.
Wow.
And this kid interviewed with me, and he said, literally, he was at McDonald's, working, and when he got the call that he had took a DNA test, that it wasn't his kid. And this is 3 months after he had spent 9 months going through with her through all the doctor's appointments, everything. Bought the crib, did the baby shower, did everything he was supposed to. 3 months later, after the baby was born, the family was saying, like, this kid don't look nothing like you. Like, you need to get a DNA test. And he got a DNA test, and come to find out it wasn't even his kid. And then Sean was inspired by another kid who literally had babies, this is real stuff, at Women's Bellevue Hospital, 3 days apart from each other.
Wow. Aaron sent me a message saying his computer restarted. He'd be back in a second, so I assume his screen froze.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
No, that is real intense, man.
No, it really is. And I think when you start to look at all of these stories, you start to figure out and say, there are really people that are among us, that is right next to us, that are going through these things. And it's sad that we don't even recognize, because it's been normalized. It's like it's happening so much, it don't affect us no more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's nothing to see a girl pregnant or to see a young man having a baby. Now it's like, okay, oh, what are you having, a boy or girl?
No, it's kind of become normalized,
Right.
and and it shouldn't be, because then people don't think about it the same way.
Right. Right. And I think that's what I wanted the film to do. It just create a sense of accountability and responsibility.
Yeah, and I think
Like,
you did it.
To recognize and say, how do we take this a little bit more seriously?
Yeah, and you did a great job, I think, laying out the stories. You definitely gave them a finality, at least, which
Yes.
which I certainly appreciate.
Yes.
Instead
yes.
of leaving any kind of open ends.
No, you know what? I can't stand movies like that where like the ending is like you build me up. Like, I think one movie that did me like that was Temptation. I don't know if you ever seen, that was a movie by Tyler Perry. He had a movie called Temptation, and I thought it was a great film. It was really a good film until he got towards the end. And when he got towards the end, it was just like, oh my goodness, he didn't wrap this up. He didn't wrap this up the right way. It's either they ran out of money, it's one or the other. It's either they ran out of money or they just built a terrible ending.
Wow. Yeah. There's a lot of movies like that.
Yeah, no, there's a ton of movies, and I hate it. I think
So,
endings are so important.
Oh God, yeah, they absolutely are. So what are you working on now, and what's coming down the pipeline?
Web series.
The web series. Can you give us any info on that? I'm curious.
I can give you a little bit. I can give you a little bit. I met with somebody tonight that I told you before that will possibly be like the main character. I feel like my life has been like a web series for the last 7 years. Like, literally, like, since I started the nonprofit, became a film director, and all the things that I've gone through as a film director has been like literally a web series. So I'm taking like fragments of my own life and becoming very vulnerable, and I'm putting into a web series. And
Awesome.
and of course, it'll be embellished in some other ways. It won't be totally about my life. It'll be totally about like just around situations that I've encountered, as a film director, and then how do you build off that? So I actually have 2 web series that I'm working on. One of them, one is called Black Girl Tears, and the other one is called Daring, right? And daring means to be to triumph, like to conquer, like the actual name. That's what it means. Mm-hmm. And so I thought it was simple enough, easy enough to remember. It wasn't complicated. But I think I've literally found my main character tonight, and we sat for about 2.5 hours, and I really explained to him the plot, who this person is, and how I envision the person. And ironically, he could relate because he's going through a lot of similar situations. So that makes it even better for me, because at this point, then I'll be able to play off this person's personality and their real life situations and turn it into film.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so I'm gonna like this new web series is really surrounding around a film director.
That's cool.
I've never seen a web series where you have a film director as the main character.
At least not one that I can think of.
No, I think this is one that's going to be very unique in its own way.
I mean, Aaron and I are always available for background acting. So
absolutely. Absolutely. I think, and listen, I use all types of people. It doesn't matter. Listen, if you're able to play the part, and I think you're able to play the part, I'll put you in that part.
Not sure what's going on with his screen as it just keeps flashing between different things.
I'm not sure either.
Hey, I hear you. There he is. It's like the voice of God coming down from above.
Trying to get the camera back up, but
it's cool. It's cool. It's totally fine. I get it. But yeah, guys, I really feel like we discussed a lot, and I don't know where you guys are at, but yeah, I think the new web series is coming. It'll be here this summer, and I'm working hard and diligent to make sure that not only am I providing a way for me as a creator, but I'm providing a way for every creator in the 518. The things that I want to implement, because I think, again, it's about building the culture, and if we commit to that, this won't only affect me; it'll affect every person that's trying to make a living off this, full time.
Absolutely.
Like, and I think if you are a creator and you really are committed to your craft, there's no reason why you couldn't commit and really make a living off this if the culture is here and the market is here. And I think it's up to us to create that market and create that culture and make sure we educate the people about why is it important to invest in film.
Absolutely.
At 1,000,000%.
Okay. So we can't see Aaron's beautiful face anymore, but we can at least hear his glorious voice. So
yes.
Appreciate that.
That's probably a good place to start wrapping things up. It's been quite some time. This has been an awesome chat.
Oh, hell yeah. And before we do wrap it up, I do want to say this, man. Anytime that you want to promote any of your films, you want your films reviewed, hit us up. Seriously, because we'll be glad to do it. We do this every week. I mean, as far as reviewing movies, we do it every weekend. And it's cool to connect with local people. It's very cool to connect with local people, which we're big on with that. And seriously, anytime you want to do another interview, we'll set something up. Anytime you want to pop on with us, whatever, just let us know. And definitely, man, because this is what you're doing is huge and it's different, again, because it's local. I don't know anybody else that's doing this.
Right.
And I feel like this is something that, being from this area, we should all get behind. Right. Because as you were discussing earlier, what you're doing can bring a lot to this area, to the capital region. It can bring a lot of revenue. It can bring other productions for yourself, as well as other productions just in general. But this is a cool place to shoot, and there's talent here.
Yes.
It's not just in Hollywood. It's not just in Atlanta. It's not just in New York. There's talent here in this small town, these small cities. There's a lot of talent here, and we deserve that shine. And like you were saying earlier, you have to build that up. Hollywood didn't start huge Hollywood. It had to start from somewhere, and why not?
Right.
Why not?
Because the talent is here. If the talent wasn't here, I wouldn't say like let's create the culture. For what? Like the talent here is people here that can act. There's people like I just did a movie with a bunch of nobodies. And I'm saying that they're nobodies. I'm saying that nobody knew them until this film.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, imagine how many more people was out there. I was taught as as a film director. I came out of film school from Schenectady High School. Imagine how many more directors is out there sitting there that don't even know that they're directors. They don't know they're producers. They don't know that they're actors or actresses, or they don't even know that they're artists or how great they are. They don't even know that they even have this talent. Most of this stuff is really discovered when you really create the culture, and when that culture is built, it gives people the autonomy to discover their own talent, and for people to say, "I don't mind putting 20,000 towards a film."
Yeah, man.
I don't see it as a waste of time.
I think Aaron disappeared again.
No, it's cool, man. It's cool.
No, but that's great. And I look forward to checking out the web series. I know Aaron does too. And yeah, man, we are always behind talking to local people and trying to promote the 518 in general. Like even on my other podcast, or like Aaron talks a lot about, of course, Schenectady, because that's where he's from. I talk my other podcast, Stories from a Bar. I talk to a lot of local brewers and like business owners and kind of people in the hospitality industry. So yeah, man, any chance, like I said, if you need background actors, we're here.
No,
we have no experience whatsoever, but we're down.
Listen, I reach out to any and everybody. I've thrown people in my film from off the street I didn't even know, okay? In my first film, literally, people walking by had actors that didn't show up. I was throwing people in off the street right there. You know what I'm saying? So that just lets you know how, what I think about actors. Is like, I think everybody's an actor in their own right. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody has the ability to build a character, and I think everybody can act in their own right. So, yeah, I appreciate you having me on, man. I appreciate you, even watching the film from beginning to end and really taking a look at some of the intricate things that, that I took the time to like work hard to convey to the public. And I definitely appreciate y'all.
Yeah, man. I don't know how long it'll take Aaron to get. He said he got booted again. So I will pass his words along that he really appreciates you being here.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
hopefully we can keep in touch and, you know, do anything we can to help each other out.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you
All right,
so
man.
much.
And yeah, man, have a great night.
You too.